Hey, what's going on, everybody out there? This is MC Till with Everybody's Hip Hop Label. You are tuned in to Boom Bap Chats, where we just sit around and talk about boom bap hip hop music. Tonight is our first Boom Bap Chat, and we have some special guests in the house tonight. We have two for one tonight. We have Eric and Dane. Those are the government names, God-given motherly, fatherly names, but we want to know what their artist names are. So, Eric and Dane, let us know who you are, what your artist names are, and where you're from, and what do you prefer? If you have nothing else around to go to, do you prefer ketchup or hot sauce? Let us know.
I like that. I like that. Eric, you want to go first?
Sure. My MC name would be Swift Mick or Swift Mickey. I'm from Toronto, born and raised. I didn't hear your last question, Phil. Can you repeat it one more time for me?
Yeah, if you had to pick one, would you pick hot sauce or ketchup?
Oh, hot sauce. Every day. Every day. Yeah. No question.
You chose correctly.
So now I feel boxed in. I got to go with hot sauce now. I got to go with hot sauce.
You really have no other option.
Ketchup, I have no other option. All right, all right.
I have ketchup in my house anymore. My wife is all about the hot sauce, so it's all hot sauce.
Right on.
Word. My name is Haz. Started off as Hazardous, and I shortened it. MC name is now Haz. And being a descendant of Jamaica, I gotta go with hot sauce. I think that's like my default spice or sauce if I had to choose one. Yeah.
All right, right on. You both picked the correct answer, so good job. You passed the test.
Yes, off to a good start.
So we're definitely going to get into the group together. You are High Society. We're going to get into why that name. Going to get into the album Monday. That's super dope that you released last year. But before we do that, I want to get your perspective and have a little conversation around this album right here, Black on Both Sides by Mos Def. I know this is a meaningful album to both of you. So if you could just talk a little bit about what this album means to you, that'd be great. Either one can start off.
Haz, go first.
I have a very close connection to that album. Just looking at that album cover alone, it does something to me. Yeah. Yeah. I have a very strong connection to that album. I never really appreciated that album as much until I really started getting a little older. Songs like Umi, it never really gravitated. I never really resonated with that song as much as I did as I started growing older. And that whole album, now that I listen to it years later after its initial release, I've learned so much from it. I've learned how much hip hop is actually involved in this album. The messaging, the simplicity mixed with complexity, the message overall, how strong he is, the cadence, the boom bap, the lyricism. As an MC's MC, that album to me is just as good as, if not exceeds, Illmatic. I said it. I said it. I said it.
You said it and you'll stand by it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it exceeds Illmatic for me, but it's definitely, if I own a hip hop album on vinyl, it's because I'm more than proud to play it in front of anybody. That's why I hold the music. So I own Illmatic on vinyl, Tribe Called Quest, and Mos Def, and in the back you can see Black Star. Those are albums that I want to play in front of people, regardless of the parental advisory sticker on it, because it's chock full of musicality. It's diverse, it's educational, and Mos Def is he's a savant when it comes to making music, emceeing, melodic, all of those things. He's on a different level, even though he's not the most prolific. And I mean, I remember listening to this album when I guess it wasn't the most popular thing for people my age. I was like 14, 15 years old, maybe grade 10 has when this album came out.
More or less.
Yeah. And if something got 4 mics in the source, I had to check it out. So this was one of those albums from Ruckus. I think it came out simultaneously with Pharoah Monch. And I had enough money to buy one of those albums. I chose this one. And I think both of them are very dope. but for some reason, this one I think is just a notch above that. And like Has said, it grows on you. It was an album later I got reintroduced to again on like a second listen, and I heard it through different ears. And actually, my wife was one of the people who listened to it and put me on to certain songs that I did not like before from this album. So I give her some credit on rediscovering this album.
Yeah. And so, is there a song? I hate the question like, "What's your favorite song?" or like this or that. But is there a song on there today that you would go to as like maybe your kind of the song that resonates with you more, today? I know song kind of growing you over time, but is there one especially today that you're like, man, it's that song that I just really relate to or really enjoy?
It's hard. Has, you go first.
I'm gonna go with Umi. I think right now where we are in society, and the space that I'm in these days, wanting to slow things down a bit and appreciate the moments a little more. I think just the pace of that song and the tempo of that song and the slow burn. I like candles now. So it's like it speaks to me in different ways. And of course what he's speaking about on the song, it really resonates with me. I ain't a perfect man. I'm trying to do the best that I can with what it is I have. If that doesn't wrap everything up in a nutshell, I don't know what does. Definitely Umi, but my first favorite song on that album when I heard it was Speed Law. That one really hit the ground running, and I've loved it ever since. But right now Umi is kind of my thing. I even did a freestyle to that beat, so
dope.
I mean, yeah, so I definitely love that one.
Nice.
I would say Umi is the one that grew on me the most over the years, because when that first came out and he even made a video for it, I was like, why did he make a video for that song? Why is he singing? Because I just always wanted people to be rapping. I remember listening to this album as a kid, and I didn't even like rock and roll. I'm like, why is he doing that? Like, why is there guitars on a rap album? I wasn't mature enough. But the deeper cuts as the album goes, like, what I really like listening to actually is the song with no vocals on it, May December.
Oh yeah.
A hell of a way. Yeah.
It ends the album on this completely different note, and it's a perfect ending without any words. It's hard to explain. So Speed Law, Dane put me onto Speed Law when we were kids, and I listened to that and studied the MCing of it. Miss Fat Booty was my first favorite song on the album.
Yeah. That song was beautiful.
I still love that song. And so I mean, all of them are great.
Cool. I think let me go to Eric Stewart here. I think he had something he wanted to contribute. What's up, Eric Stewart?
Hey, what up, man? Can you hear me now?
Peace.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep.
All right, okay. I'm gonna say the Black on Both Sides. Wow. Like back in it, like I remember it came out when I was in 9th grade, and I do remember Miss Fat Booty, and I remember the Umi Says. Well, plus there's 2 video versions, like ones with Mos in the studio and show the people how they live, and also another video version with I call it the basketball video, that has Michael Jordan
in. That's cool.
Right. Yeah. So
yes. So,
right. So those, I remember those videos, but at that time I wasn't even listening to most Def's music until when I got older, somewhere in 2010s. I mean, that's what it began to grow on me, especially a Black on Both Sides. Well, my favorite song to make it official, my favorite song besides Umi Says or Miss Fat Booty, I gotta go with Mathematics.
Yeah, Mathematics. That's the one I always go to.
Yeah.
The beat is so lovely.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for that. Want to ask a question for everyone in here. If you remember the first time you heard this album? Think about that for a minute. The first time you heard Black on Both Sides or heard a song, Miss Fat Booty or When We Says or whatever, can you think back to that moment and what you felt, what you thought? And if you want to talk, just raise your hand or send a message in the chat room, and I'll unmute you so you can chat.
Okay, I'll go.
And go ahead, man.
Okay, man. I remember the time, like back in 1999, before 2000 hits. I mean, two albums released in October in '99. That same year, I mean, that album, Black on Both Sides, and Pharoah Monch, Internal Affairs.
Yes.
And right, and I mean,
Bum, bum, bum.
yeah, Simon Says. Boy, that song was very. I mean, that song just made me. That got me amped up. That got me amped up, and of course, another song from Pharoah Monch's solo album was a song called "The Light." I mean, "The Light."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that song.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that song, in my opinion, lift me up from all the madness.
Yeah, I feel like there was like a second era of like almost like the golden. A lot of people talk about like the golden age of hip hop.
Golden age.
Yeah, like 88 to 92 or 95, 96. Depending on who you ask, but I feel like around this time, like this came out, like you said, Pharoah Monch came out, Reflection Eternal came out.
Yeah.
Company Flow might have came out. Maybe they were a little bit earlier. The Roots came out with Things Fall Apart. I feel like there was just like a gust of really, really dope albums around that time.
Right.
98 was a good year. 98 was when I really got my sort of baptism into hip hop. Started listening to hip hop, admittedly, because of Puff Daddy and the family and all. Era post Big dying, and hip hop was always on TV at the time, whether it was commercial or jiggy. But because of those albums having so many features, it leads you to another artist. You fall down that rabbit hole. And 98 was like a freshman year for Cannabis and Big Pun and DMX, on top of all of these phenomenal albums from Ruckus and OK Player. Like, it was a great year. I think even like Water for Chocolate came out in 99.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. Man, that album is dope too. So
yeah, we were spoiled, man. We were spoiled with good music. Not to say there's no good music today, but like Internal Affairs and Black on Both Sides standing right there beside you. If you don't have the money for both, what do you do? What do you do, right? Like, these are dope albums, man.
Especially if you're not into stealing. I don't know what you do,
Right.
And all your money on them like I did.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric.
I play Internal Affairs, and I play Black on Both Sides on my phone. Even though I didn't have it, but I got that on my wish list in the future.
Right.
That way the people in my ages that live in Baton Rouge, they will get to know about hip hop once they reach out to me, because they too busy stuck into the cookie cutter music.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah. Yep. I remember I was just telling my wife earlier today, because I had this out and I was playing it, and I was telling her the story of how I got the album. I got the bootleg first because I was in college and I didn't really have much money at the time. So some guys on my floor in the dorm, they would bootleg hip hop CDs. And so I remember spending $5 and bought the Mos Def album. And I had that burnt copy forever. I mean, I obviously finally got the actual album, but I had that burnt copy forever. And it was probably some of the best $5 I ever spent in my life. So I want to move into high society here. I'm going to put everyone on mute again just because it records a little bit better, the fewer folks that are live. And let's go to High Society. Want to talk about how you all got that name. Where did that name come from?
Eric, do you remember the three names that we
I remember High Society. I remember we were very, very close to calling ourselves Low End Theory.
Yes.
I
And
don't
then
remember
the people.
people. That's right, the
The
people.
people.
Those are the three
People.
names we were juggling to see which one we thought would stick. But
So
go ahead, Dane.
no, go on.
You know what? It was your brainchild in a lot of ways. You're the one who sold me on it, so it's better that you give the explanation of your vision.
Okay, he's passing it off to me. All right, cool. So we had those three names that we have to kind of sift through and see which one, sat well with us, which one had a good ring to it, which one was politically correct, all of the above. And we decided on High Society because of its fullness. So for one, High Society, it's like a upper echelon of society, the higher end of society. And it was a play on the words because it's also saying hello to the world, High Society. And we wanted to focus more on the people. And as you know, the people was one of the choices, but society is also comprised of the people. So we kind of killed two birds with one stone by going with High Society. And it had more of a play on words, even the way we spell it with the lower case HI for high, and then society in all caps. So we just felt like it was something that stuck more with us. We already heard of the people, like people under the stairs, and we already heard of Low End Theory, of course, Tribe. So we felt like a High Society was a little bit of a better fit for us, and we just stuck with it.
Mm.
Wow.
And I kind of look at all the silly connections to things sometimes. So the initials, if you just put the H and the S, it would be Has and Swift, and it would also be something that links back to us from high school, because that's where we started our music writing and creation. So all of those little things, I'm like, oh, that's perfect. All these little connections just works out right.
So you went back to high school. How far back do you guys go back?
Grade 7, if my
Was it
memory.
grade 7, Mr. Hall's class in art?
Mr. Crease's class. You were that new kid that came in with your hair twisted. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Crease. Okay, yes.
How did
You were
you
the
know?
popular.
Do you remember talking about hip hop or learning that you both enjoy hip hop?
Not right away.
No, actually, we started off like any music conversation actually started off with dance music. And I'm talking about like oots, oots, oots,
Yeah.
that kind of dance music. We really connected with that kind of music in art class. Sorry, I'm just fixing my charger up a bit. The battery life is kind of draining. Anyway, we connected with dance music in art class, and that's how we really got together and started talking about music. And from then it just transcended into hip hop. And I can let Eric add to that piece.
Well,
while I fix my charger.
Yeah, sitting in class in middle school, Dane and a lot of the other guys would always hold court and talk about Tupac and Busta Rhymes, and Wu-Tang was coming out that year. I knew nothing of what was going on other than the fact that Notorious B.I.G. had just died, and these songs were on the radio. So as I started to slowly develop a palette for appreciating hip hop and diversifying my music, when I got to grade 9, the same dudes, Has and David Francis, were always going back and forth talking about MCs, comparing, trading verses. So when I would go out and buy an album, I would always hit up Dan and be like, hey, is this guy any good? What about this Redman guy? What do you think about him? Is it worth buying his album? So he was kind of like my connect at first to tell me what was hot or what was not. So seeing that my album catalog was building, he realized, like, here's a person who's actually keeping up with what I'm keeping up with more so than the other kids in school. So we started to share a language that a lot of people didn't understand. So yeah. And we were both became addicted to hip hop media, Source magazines, XXL magazines. It was a race to see who would buy it first. So yeah,
Yes,
that
sir.
it goes that far back.
Yes, sir.
So fast forwarding a little bit, last year, 2019, in maybe March, is that when Monday came out?
Mm.
You released
April
this
1st.
April
First.
1st. April 1st, you released this project Monday. How did that come about, that album?
You want to take this one, Eric?
You go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, we always wanted to put together a timepiece, more so than just saying it's an album. We wanted to put together a body of work that we could live and grow old to. So instead of hip hop, we often joke live hop, something that you can live to. And we slowly started piecing together a soundscape for what we wanted to use and paint that canvas slowly. And we would get together like every day via WhatsApp and talk about the music and what direction we wanted to go in. And we definitely wanted something simple. I put out a mixtape, 1+1=2, very simple. So we wanted to tackle another very simple concept where we can change one's outlook on something. So we chose Monday, and we wanted Monday to not be as mundane as most people would view a Monday. So we wanted to put together an album that you would appreciate, and in turn appreciate your Mondays a little more. And all the music that we compiled together to make this album hopefully gives the listener that feeling. That was pretty much our mentality going into it.
That's dope. And is this more of a original music album, or is this more of a mixtape, or a combination of the two?
I'd say it's a mixture of both. Rarely are you going to hear just one of or the other with us. It's always going to be like a compilation of both, because we make music that inspires us, and a lot of times it's music we've heard before, and sometimes it's new ideas in terms of beats that we like to rhyme on, and we just like putting together, as I said, timeless pieces, however it comes our way.
I remember hearing one song in there. I was like, man, I love this beat. I love this beat. I feel like I've heard this beat before. And then I reached out to you guys. You're like, oh yeah, that's that such and such beat. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got you now.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Is there a particular song on that album that really stands out, holds a special place in your heart, whether sentimentally or just because you think it's so fresh that it's just so dope?
It depends on the day of the week for me. Whenever I listen to it, sometimes I'll because it's got a consistent sound, and I think the way it's kind of sequenced, it flows well. There's nothing too jarring on it where it's like, oh, why did they go from this to that? That doesn't exist. But there are moods. It has a little bit of ebb and flow to it. So depending on if I'm feeling a little bit, aggressive, I might want to listen to The Poet and feel something that has a little more power to it. But I think the ones that I always go back to are probably, I really like Wheels Fall Off because there's a lot of sentimentality to it. When I heard the beat the first time, when Has just sent me the beat and said, what do you think of this beat? So he has a good ear for like collecting sound. And then he would send it to me, and I would go through and say, okay, I really like this one. Maybe not that one, but we'll keep that in the back burner. But when he sent me that beat, I almost had like tears in my eyes because I knew it was going to be something I wanted to write to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one, for me, it has a lot of meaning. And I really like Alphabet Soup because I love the jazziness, the horns to it, and it's just kind of fun. It's witty but not too serious. So it's if you like that old school Tribe Called Quest sound of the horns and the jazz instrumentation, you'll love it. But if you like quirky little lyricism like De La Soul, that's there too. So I feel it's a perfect blend of the two.
Dope.
How about
Has?
I'm gonna say Merry Go Round. The hook is so soothing, and I have a close connection with that song because I was in actually Jamaica when we dropped the album April 1st, and there was no other song I could run to that would talk to me or speak to me while I was on the beach. So I would just play that song, and I'm having a pina colada, my head back in a chair. It's like a merry-go-round. It just felt so right.
Yeah.
It just felt so right.
You bring up something that I thought about. You guys, that album to me, it feels like you thoroughly enjoy listening to it, and not on like an arrogant like I'm the dopest, this is the greatest music, but just it feels like you made music that you just enjoy, and you weren't thinking about other people or how to please people. You know, how can we market this? It was just like pure music that I want to make because I enjoy it. Would that be a true statement?
Yeah, definitely. I think that alludes to the whole live hop thing that we speak of, right? It's certainly something that we wanted to live by, and we wanted it to age gracefully. We didn't want to force the music. We just wanted the music to come to us and just put out the best music that, even if just Eric and I had listened to it, no fan base, that we wouldn't have cared. We just wanted something that, you know, we can look back at 40 years from now and say, oh my God, we were dope. You know, I can play this. I can play this in front of my mother, in front of my grandmother, and not feel, you know, when you get like cringe-worthy music in front of like an elder.
Yeah,
we don't have that moment. Yeah, so we
Yeah.
wanted to make something that we were really proud of, and I feel like this piece of work, this project, did just that.
Yeah, that's dope.
I think if you want, sometimes you complain about there not being anything you like. So sometimes you should just make it. And a lot of times, if you're authentic to, you're not, when we were younger, we were huge fans of hip hop, but it was very important to be trendy. And when we were part of a group that included Dane's brother at the time, we were working with guys who were very intent on, you're going to have an image, you got to make a song like this. And we were starting to realize, you know what, talking about guns and this and that and the other for the sake of it being battle worthy or competitive, it's just not natural.
Yeah.
And you feel that tug. You can make it, we can do that, but it's not going to be authentic. And then when you start to, and at that time, it was like, no, you have to. That's what people want. So we got to a point in life now where we're comfortable enough to be like, let's make a song where I'm rapping like from a girl's perspective, and you know, you do a funny voice too. Yeah. And it comes better because it's truer.
Yeah, yeah. I hear that. It comes across in the music too. So from the chat room, our friend Joe November is having some audio technical difficulties, but he said his mind was blown on the explanation of the group name. So good job, guys. Your group name blew his mind. Excellent job. And he also said, if you didn't see this comment, and I don't know the answer, y'all might. Didn't Merry Go Round have a Roy Ayers sample? Was that a Roy Ayers sample? Do you guys know?
I'm not
I've
sure.
sampled Roy Ayers in the past. I don't recall. It could, but I don't recall this particular beat. You know what? I'll take his word for it. If he says it, then it might be. It just might be.
I'm gonna go back and listen too. And I don't know if any of you are a part of that hip hop group on Facebook, the Sample Spotters. Any of you guys rocking that group?
No, that sounds like
Joe's
something
in
I
there.
should join though.
Yeah, they just. Yeah. I mean, it's just sample nerds in there. There's people that love samples, and they post like sample battles. Who can find this sample? You know, it's fun. It's fun. Cool. So if you guys were gonna make a sequel to Monday, what would it be? What would it sound like?
It's actually in almost finished.
Oh, tell it. What can you tell us about it?
So we has had this idea actually for this particular interview to leave it up to you guys what the final title should be. Right now we're working with The Pursuit of ... or The Pursuit of Nothingness, and has wanted to go back to the drawing board and stick with our aesthetic, but make it a touch darker, a little more introspective, and have a little bit more like he wanted to touch on some more specific topics sometimes that might be a little bit uncomfortable or touchy. Okay. So that's the next one. It's almost in the finishing stages. It would have been done had all this nonsense not taken place.
Yeah, I feel you.
So once this is all sorted out and we can, you know, get back together and hit up the studio, we'll put the finishing touches on it. Right now we're in like the chorus stage and doing some skits to give it texture.
Dope. So looking beyond this album, even if money wasn't an issue, connections wasn't an issue, what producer, and you could call on any producer to come in and produce your album, who would you call on?
MC Till.
He's unavailable. He's cost too much.
Hypothetically, like anything I wanted?
Hypothetically, anyone.
Dead or alive?
Yeah.
Or do they have to be alive?
You can bring him back.
I want Jay
Dilla. Who'd you say, Dilla?
Dilla and Madlib and Ninth Wonder.
Yes.
That would be my dream. And Q-Tip too. But I think Q-Tip would be a pain in the ass in the studio.
I think Madlib or Dilla would probably be the easiest, because I feel like those dudes just produce music like nonstop and don't think like, oh, should I rearrange this? Should I do this? Or Q-Tip, I think Q-Tip would just be like, I don't think he would be fun to work with.
In high society, Haz is the Q-Tip, so we don't need another person. He's already good.
I can second that.
I'm telling you, you need to be more like Ghostface. I promise. I don't think Ghostface ever redoes a verse in his life. He just walks into the booth, spits it, and doesn't care if it's mixed well. Just like, forget it, put it out.
Well,
I'm grateful that Haz is that.
All right, yeah.
He put out Supreme Clientele. So if that's what he was doing, we'll take it. We'll take it.
Hey, this is not critical. I love it because some of the stuff is so raw. So Haz, who would you pick if you could pick any producer?
Just a heads up, my battery life, it's dying. I might have to grab another phone shortly. I don't know why it's not charging. It says it's too hot. Maybe the interview's too hot and it won't charge. But to answer that, I would definitely have chosen the same producers that Eric chose. I would also look into No ID. I liked some of No ID's work, and I really would like to dive into No ID. Primo, of course. I would want Primo, and maybe just to see, give a little nod to your dude High Tech.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from High Tech in a while, so give the Natty some love. I'd probably go with High Tech.
Yeah,
good job.
Good. Yeah, I agree.
Good answer. That's correct.
Yes.
All right. So while we still have Haz on here before his phone dies, we're going to do a little game called One Word. All right. Eric threw out this idea. And what we're going to do, I'm either going to show you something, an album cover, and in one word, first word that comes to your mind is what you're going to say. So we'll start like this. So let's see. One word. All right. Here we go. If you don't know it, then, you don't know it. Here we go. Sorry. Cool.
Eclectic.
Dope. I don't know it. Organized Confusion. Hadn't listened to that album. I'm sorry.
Sorry. You don't have to apologize.
I'm a fraud.
What did Haz say? Oh, no. Oh, no. What did you say, Haz? I thought you froze up.
Oh, I said Perfect Imperfection, but I forgot I have to use one word.
That's all right. We'll give it to you.
Triumph.
Impossible.
Right on. Okay, I got one for both of you guys, and I'm very curious to know what you think of this one.
Swag.
High school. That's 2 words. High school.
That's okay. Cool. And thus concludes One Word. I think Eric Stewart was begging to get in there and say something. Here we go. Eric Stewart, I got you on. Everyone can hear you now. What's up, man?
Oh man, that Organized Confusion first album. Woo, I must say that just on top of my list.
Yes.
On top of my list, man. And Jay-Z's
Volume 3.
Fourth album, The Life and Times of S. Carter. Yeah. I believe that's
Volume
his
3.
magnum opus, in my opinion.
Really? Okay. Dope.
I feel like Yeah, sorry. I feel like that album is when Jay really felt comfortable with his swag, so to speak. I even hate using the word swag, but -2 degrees, about as blue as the sea, the way I
Yeah.
maneuver the V. Like he hat cock, like I felt like that's when Jay really started feeling himself. Like I felt like, you have Beanie Siegel, Mac, how I felt like that's when he really came into his stride and, sounded more comfortable with his voice and, leading the rap game, so to speak, on that album.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about, Volume 2 is what brought him back, and
Right.
maybe commercially, I don't know, but really it was Volume 3 for me that
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
man, this is wonderful music right here. Not all of it, it's a couple tracks I don't like, most of it.
Volume 2 was my first introduction to Jay, so I have a little bit of a nostalgia with that album. There's lots of
Yeah.
hits on it, but when Volume 3 came out, it was one of those moments, because I found it at a flea market a week before release, right around Christmas time, and I remember going into the car. I'll never forget it because it's one of those timeless moments where I ripped the packaging off the CD, I played it, and he
And
actually
he
said,
said that, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
CD,
If you're ripping the package off your CD.
I don't care if it's winter, turn the window down. So I turned the window down. I'm like, okay, I'll do it.
Yes. Very cool.
Miss
Great
those
album.
moments, man. Miss those moments.
I know both of you are big Jay-Z fans. I'm curious to know, what's your favorite Jay-Z album, if you have one.
I got a couple that I shuffle in that mix for
Yep.
different reasons. If I had to pick one, it would be Reasonable Doubt, just because I could always go to that one and appreciate something new about something he'll never do again, which is a first album.
Which album did you say? The first one?
Reasonable Doubt.
Reason. Okay, kind of cut out.
Blueprint. The Blueprint has a very soft spot to it, because when we went to buy the Blueprint, of course, it was November 11th, and in Toronto, in Canada, that album wasn't released until a week after. So me and Haz went to the mall together, hoping that it would still be open on this frightening day, just so we could buy this album. It wasn't there, but instead we bought our rhyme books. That was the day we bought our first rhyme book. So it has
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Before phones took over. Now we write in our phones.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. I would say I go back and forth with it, but I really appreciate the Blueprint. I really love Reasonable Doubt, but I feel like I have to be in the mood to listen to Reasonable Doubt a little more so.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really starting to, like, with where I am with life, have a greater appreciation for 444.
Yeah.
That one speaks to me. I'm gonna try to connect with y'all in a sec. My phone life is pretty much resting in peace right now, so I'm gonna try to connect with y'all in one moment.
Oh, you're good, man. You're good. What we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of do a first signing off for the recorded audience, and then we're gonna jump back in. You guys don't have to go anywhere, but we'll do some special things. I'm gonna try to play some music from High Society, do that function, get some feedback on some of their new stuff, and then open the floor for some questions too. But for all of you listening in out there in the world of the internet, Facebook, social media, wherever you're checking this out, thanks for joining us tonight. I want to thank High Society. Appreciate you, everybody that tuned in on headphones or in video. Appreciate y'all for being here. We'll be back next Thursday. We'll be here every Thursday night, 10 p.m., same Zoom link. So hope you can join us. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.